So if you were to ask me what is the best way that you can, I mean theoretically if you ask me, because no one really asked me, what's the best way that you can get your travel footage to get from here to here? Like just to like level up a little bit and to make your footage just that little bit better. The number one way that I would say that is to probably get a drone, because honestly, if you're a travel vlogger and you don't have a drone these days, are you even a travel vlogger? I'm just kidding, drones are very common. And secondly, I would say that the best way that you can get your footage to look a million times better instantly is by having really, really stable, smooth, buttery smooth sounds a bit better. Buttery smooth footage. There's so many different ways that you can get smooth footage. Like there's a couple that I've spoken about before where you get the strap around your neck and you hold the camera out at arm's length like this, and then that creates a stability. There's like the famous crab walk that you have to do. And then of course there's slowing down your footage as much as your frame rate will allow it. Those things are all great and I use them all the time, all of the time. There's a reason I film everything in 50 frames a second. But actually, this video is not yet. Hold on. Okay, now we're in 25 frames per second. Let me know what you think of it, because I don't film in this very often because usually I like to slow down my footage. But there's only so far that this will take you. In order to get your footage from like semi-professional to actual professional, the best way is with a gimbal. I still have this one. This is the Untitled Crane M, I believe. This is for smaller cameras, so I used to use this a lot for my Canon G7X when I had it, RIP, but it only holds small cameras. And then since upgrading to my Canon 77D, I've been looking for a gimbal that can hold a bigger camera, and like magic, I manifested my future. FeiyuTech reached out to me and they said if I would make a review video. So this video isn't sponsored, but they gave me a gimbal, so it's kind of sponsored, I guess. So straight off the bat, this is the case. As you can see, it's pretty freaking massive. It's pretty heavy, like the whole case itself, it's quite heavy. I don't know how many kilograms it is. This is for when you want to use the gimbal as a single handle. And they've also got this massive one right here, which is what you can use as a, as like a professional dual handle grip. For the things that I'm gonna be making, I think I'll probably only be using the single grip. That means that this thing, I don't really need it, therefore I don't need this massive ass case. I need to find another case for the gimbal that only holds the single grip, because otherwise I have to carry around this whole big thing and I don't need to be carrying it around. So straight away from getting this gimbal, I love that it comes with spare batteries, because the Zhiyun Crane, I felt like sometimes sometimes the batteries would just kind of turn off. I would turn it on, I'd be using it for a little bit, and then like halfway through filming it would just switch off for no reason. And my boyfriend Yoshi, he has the Zhiyun Crane and he had a really similar issue with it. And I'm not sure, maybe I was charging it incorrectly or something like that, but I did have a couple of issues with it. So far, I haven't had any issues with the FeiyuTech a1000, so that is good. So when it comes to the actual like the smoothness of the gimbal, in my opinion, if you're gonna buy a professional, professional, semi-professional gimbal like this, and ones of other similar kinds of brands, I think this is the level of smoothness, if that's a word, is gonna be on a very similar level. So yeah, it's very smooth. I'll leave it at that. So there's a bunch of different functions that the gimbal has. So if you tap the function button once, then that is the panning mode, which is the default. It means the camera will stay in the one position, and when you move it to the side like this, it won't move. It will actually stay in that position. You can use the joystick to control its left and right panning action, also up and down, of course. If you press the button twice, then this is the panning and tilting mode, meaning that when you move the camera down, the camera will slowly follow. If you move the camera up, it'll follow, left, right, etc. And then if you use the joystick, it will actually turn the camera, it'll tilt it on its axis, which is actually quite cool. I've never thought about even using it, so maybe that's like an interesting way of getting a different kind of shot that I wouldn't normally use. If you press the button 3 times, then that turns into selfie mode, which means that you can use it vlogging if you're bougie enough to use a gimbal while vlogging. I feel like I probably won't be using it while I'm vlogging. I mean, almost definitely, because that's a lot of effort. If you press the button 4 times, then this is the auto rotation mode. There's a bunch of different speeds that it will rotate automatically. It comes with a little tripod, mini tripod like this. It'll make for some really nice time lapses that are different from the just in the same position. You can set the rotation speed at 12 seconds per turn, all the way up to 8 hours per turn. That shows its battery power. If you're using it at just an auto rotation mode, it'll last for up to 8 hours, which is really impressive. When it comes to using the joystick for different modes, it's got a really good response rate. I'm really happy with it. It's not really fast, because sometimes I find if I'm flying my drone and I wanna just do like a nice smooth pan around like this, I'll move the joystick like just a little bit and it just goes vroom and it completely turns around, and it's just not very cinematic and it completely ruins the shot. So I do like that it's kind of slow-ish, and then when you take your finger off the joystick, it doesn't stop completely, like it doesn't jerk in that position. It'll kind of smooth out that speed change. When I first saw this gimbal on the market, I thought that it was gonna be really heavy, as most of these gimbals are for heavy DSLR cameras, but it's actually really not that bad. My arm did get a little bit sore from holding it out like this, and I'm obviously not like the buffest person around, and I found it to be not too bad. And also it gives you that nice like kind of like shoulder line here, so it makes you look like just like a little bit more ripped. Oh, I just bumped the camera, whoops. When I went to use this gimbal for the very first time, you have to do the like initial setup and all of that, and actually mounting the camera onto the gimbal. This was so difficult for me. Maybe I'm just like really dumb, but it took me a while to figure it out. FeiyuTech is a Chinese company, if I'm correct. So it comes with 2 manuals like this. One of them is written in Mandarin. I'm gonna say Mandarin, just as a guess. And then there's one that's written in English. I mean, like it's not bad English or anything like that, but there were a couple of spelling errors, which that's fine, but it's just not really what you expect from a big company, I guess. But some things were very kind of difficult to understand. Now that I've done it, this makes a whole lot more sense, but the first time ever doing it was really confusing, but luckily the internet is a wonderful place and videos are a lot easier to watch. Now getting on to the kind of like negative things about this gimbal. The first time that I went to use it, it was a rainy day, so maybe that had something to do with it. This is where the camera would sit here, and this is the little base plate that keeps it in place. This little thing here, you screw it in like that, and then it should stay, and that keeps it nice and tight in the position. However, sometimes I would point the camera down, and then the entire plate would just slide forward, or I'd point it back and it would slide back. I have to really tighten it in order for it to stay exactly in that position. Then that means when I go to unscrew it, it's quite hard to unscrew. You know, maybe I was doing it incorrectly, or maybe it had something to do with the weather or something like that day, or maybe I just need to get some more muscles and then I can actually like screw it up properly so then it stays in the position. The other main negative feature of this gimbal, and it's probably not like this gimbal in particular, I think it's probably just any gimbal in general. Look how big this is. This is quite big, and it's quite heavy, and it doesn't fit in my backpack. So when I went into the city to film with this, I think I went into the city to film on maybe the worst day I could have chosen. It was a Saturday, so it was crazy busy. It was pouring with rain, and we decided to go to Shibuya, which has the busiest intersection in the whole entire world. And it was, wow, I think annoying is an understatement. I had to carry this for in one hand. I had my own backpack and I was carrying a gimbal. Amongst all of this, I had to hold my umbrella somewhere to keep the gimbal in its position without it getting wet. There's a million people around me and everyone's looking at me weirdly because there's this white girl that's filming with this massive ass thing holding a million bags through the biggest crossing in the world, and it was just, oh man, it was hard. It was really hard.
Worst time ever!
If I could just get a smaller case for it that's a little bit lighter, I can put that in my backpack, then maybe that would free it up. Also, maybe if it wasn't pouring with rain, that would make things a lot easier as well.
Harajuku on a rainy day. Worst decision ever.
Usually when you're traveling, you're on a busy schedule, there's lots of people around you, there's sometimes shady people around you that might be eyeing off your equipment, and you know, you don't always have time to sit down and set things up and, you know, pack something away or have someone else to carry something for you. It's nice when I'm travel vlogging, I usually I have this my camera and I'll just wrap it up and I'll chuck it in my bag. Very occasionally I'll maybe get out the Gorilla Pod. Like I don't even use a Gorilla Pod that much because it's just that extra thing that I have to clip on and get ready. So when I'm travel vlogging, I like to just, you know, put the camera on and go straight away. I don't want it to ever kind of like interrupt my day a little bit, because then I think making the travel video becomes less authentic, because because you had to like actually set up the shot and make it look really nice. But I guess it depends what kind of videos you like to make. If you prefer to take your time and you don't mind, you know, setting up a little bit more, then maybe a gimbal is for you. Maybe you can use that while travel vlogging. Or if you've got an assistant with you that's gonna bring it with you, something like that. Like honestly, I think it's a wonderful gimbal. It's so good. It makes your video footage just look a million times better. Like a simple shot moving in like this. When you're just doing it by hand, that can look nice, that's fine. But when it's actually like just 100% smooth, it takes the footage way up. But if you're travel vlogging and you're taking it with you and you wanna try and be on the go, it's really bulky and it's kind of annoying to carry around. So personally for me, will I be using this in my travel videos? Probably not. Basically, if I want to take it out and use it, I want to get all of the shots that I possibly can and then pack it away and never touch it for the rest of the day. Because taking it out, putting it back in, taking it out, putting it back in, that takes a really long time because you have to set it up in between, and not feasible for me personally, but I am just a YouTube vlogger, so that if you're making films, you know, like your own short films or like wedding films or films for other companies, definitely I think it's a wonderful gimbal for that. And I will be using it for those kinds of things. So if I'm filming something in particular and want to make it look really extra professional, I will definitely be using this gimbal. Yeah. All in all, in the short amount of time that I've had to use it, I think it's a really great gimbal and I'm so happy to have one. Thank you so much FeiyuTech for sending it to me. If you want to know what kind of, well, obviously you know what kind it is. If you want to get your own gimbal, you can check the link in the description down below and it will link you to their website. Because I've only had the chance to use it a couple of times, maybe some more issues will arise in the future. And if they do, I'll be sure to update by putting that in the description below. So if you're watching this later in the future, check the description to see if I've updated it. If I haven't, then these are the only issues that I've got with it so far. And hopefully this just means that my videos are just going to get better in quality throughout, you know, the rest of my YouTube video making life. Also, thank you so much to my friend Daniel Gates. He is a musician and he created that wonderful piano piece at the start of this video. So if you like that music, go check out the link in the description below because he's a wonderful musician and I really want to support my friends. And you can go follow me on Instagram. You can like this video if you like it and if you found it helpful in any way. Make sure you leave a comment in the description, not in the description because you can't do that. Comment in the comments section down below if you've got a gimbal and if you had any similar issues to me as this one. That was a weird sentence. And you can subscribe if you'd like to. Wow, so much talking. Thank you so much for watching and I'll see you next time. Bye.